I'm Esther Dillard on the Black Information Network, chatting with writers and authors who offer an added perspective for our listeners. This is The Color Between the Lines. In this edition of The Color Between the Lines, we're talking about a condition that affects about 2.8 million people in the United States. It's called vitiligo. And our guest has written a children's book that has to bring awareness to the topic, as well as give parents a tool that they can use to help their children with their self-esteem. Her name is Lydia Rivera. She is a vitiligo advocate, decorated Navy sailor, an award-winning filmmaker, and confidence coach. Her book is entitled, I Absolutely Positively Love My Spots. Welcome, Ms. Rivera, to the BIN.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and to just share this beautiful story with you all. Thank you.
So you are a vitiligo advocate, and for some of our listeners who don't understand exactly what that is outside of what they read about Michael Jackson, can you explain it to them?
Yeah, so vitiligo, it's basically a skin disorder that we have these cells called they're pigment cells. They're called melanocytes. And when those melanocytes or pigment producing cells are lost or damaged, it causes white patches or white spots to form on our skin. Nothing contagious. There's not a cure for it. There's not even a known reason on how people with vitiligo get this condition.
And it can really be devastating to a child who, is growing up. Could you explain how it affected you?
Oh, my goodness. So I've had vitiligo since I was an infant. And so my entire life, I've always had vitiligo. So having a skin condition, I dealt with a lot of the bullying. I dealt with a lot of the name calling, teasing. A lot of children distanced themselves from me. They didn't really want to be around me because of my skin condition. So it was really challenging. I'll be honest with you, very hurtful. Many days I spent crying as a kid because I just wanted, people to accept me and to be my friend. So it was very difficult for me. So I can only imagine what the children today who have vitiligo are experiencing as well.
Do you think a book like what you've written would have been helpful to you as a child?
Absolutely, positively, it would have. When I was growing up, I didn't see superheroes and characters on TV or in books that looked like me. So had I had this representation, and also a book that empowered me and encouraged me to love the skin that I was in and to embrace all of my uniqueness, who knows who I would have become today. Life would have looked, I believe, different because not only this representation would have been for me and my self-esteem, but it also would have educated and spread awareness to other children who don't have the condition. And it would have promoted that kindness piece that I feel like was missing when I was a child. So definitely, if I had this beautiful book, I believe that my childhood would have looked a whole lot different, for sure.
Well, I'm sure that you could have written this probably many years ago. Why did you decide to do it now?
That's a great question. Very great question. Years ago, I was not this confident woman that people get to see today. My self-esteem was almost void and non-existent. I had very low self-esteem. My confidence was not there. I did not know my worth and my true value. I really did seek validation from other people, and it took me a long time to get to this place. It took a lot of inner work. As a teenager or even as a child, we don't know what inner work looks like, what that consists of. So until I became an adult was when I, began to look within myself and begin to see who I truly was and not seek validation from other people and believe those words that they were saying to me. And I had to realize their mean words didn't define me. My true characteristics is, who I am, and that's what defines me. And vitiligo even doesn't define me. It's something that I have. It's not who I am. Like, I'm not vitiligo, right? Vitiligo is just something that I have. So, yeah.
Were some of the things that you see the little girl experiencing in this book directly some of the things that you experienced as a child, or a combination of things that other kids that you've also, mentored that may have shared that are in the book?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. I did have a very supportive father, and in the book, it shows her father just being super supportive and just loving all on her. The mother in the book is also embracing her and loving on her. I did also, as a child, I had the children, make those stares. They stared and were just very curious. Children are very curious, and in the book, it highlights that as well. And a lot of the children that I mentor as well have experienced that, the stares, the questions from their peers as well. So it was important that I highlighted that in the book, because kids are curious, and it's okay to ask the questions, but also just being kind, and also being able to allow children to accept other people and their differences. That was very important for me, because we all are different, right? Everyone in the world has their own differences. We've just got to embrace that and accept our own differences, but also accept everyone else's differences as well.
Have you found over the years that there has been a change in how at least the African American community has now come to understand more about vitiligo and embrace it as, as being able to support those who are suffering through it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that there has been a great change. Honestly, I feel like there is still more work that needs to be done, which is why we have all of the, great, amazing people who are advocating for the skin condition, vitiligo support groups that are out there in different states. So the advocacy work is being done, and I have seen great change. Again, when I was a child, I didn't have this book. I didn't have this representation. I didn't see it on TV. I didn't see it in movies or in books. So definitely, especially in the brown community. Yes, it's so exciting, and honestly, it's really liberating to see the brown community accepting, not only our melanated skin, but even the vitiligo for those that have vitiligo as well. So, which was also important, that I wrote a book about a brown girl and her vitiligo. And her, on the book, you see she has those puffs, and oh gosh, she's just so adorable. And her confidence is just so amazing. She exudes with confidence, and that is just so beautiful to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, the response so far to the book from other kids, what has it been so far?
Oh my God, I am amazed still with the responses that I get from the children, even from adults. I have adults telling me, "Oh my God, I cried when I read this book." I cannot make this up. Yeah. I have adults saying, "I cried when I read the book because I wish I had that when I was a child." And the response I get from the kids is just like, "Oh my God, they look like me." And that was so important too, to write a book, and with these beautiful, vibrant, energetic, oh my God, illustrations in the book, for a child to say, "Wow, they look like me," and to give them a book to where they can see themselves as the main character. That was so amazing.
So where can we find your book and where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can go and find the book at your local favorite bookstore, also in retail stores. You can also go onto harpercollins.com and type in "I absolutely, positively love my spots." You can also go onto my website. That's Lydia, Lidya, Rivera.com. And I'm on all social media platforms. Just look me up under Lydia C. Rivera and you'll find me there.
All right, that's Lydia C. Rivera, and the book is I Absolutely Love My Spots. That's it for this edition of The Color Between the Lines. I'm Esther Dillard on the Black Information Network.